it's a little rich watching Republicans talk about the weaponization of government and the idea of throwing opponents in jail. I'm old enough to remember when the prevalent theme in the 2016 campaign was the chant "Lock her up." Again, it's just to watch all of this is just a different level of kabuki theater.
Republicans did not seem to notice the irony today as they reacted to the news that Donald Trump is the target of another federal investigation. Just watch this.
We have yet again another example of Joe Biden's weaponized Department of Justice targeting his top political opponent, Donald Trump.
Over and over again, you see different attacks by the Biden administration against President Trump. And so it begs the question, are people being treated fairly?
I think it was shown how he was in the White House and didn't do anything while things were going on. He should have come out more forcefully. Of course that. But to try to criminalize that, that's a different issue entirely.
With regard to the prospect of an indictment, I hope it doesn't come to that. I'm not convinced that the president acting on the bad advice of a group of crank lawyers that came into the White House in the days before January 6th is actually criminal.
It's going to keep on going. I mean, the rest of this primary election is going to be, in reference to Trump, is going to be about lawsuits. It's going to be about legal fees. It's going to be about judges. And it's just going to continue to be a further and further distraction.
Back with us tonight, John Allen, senior national politics reporter for NBC News, former Democratic congressman from the state of New York, Max Rose, and Michael Steele, former chairman of the Republican National Committee and former lieutenant governor of Maryland. Michael, what is your reaction to all of this?
So, to the vice president's point, he does know those crank lawyers were hired by Donald Trump and brought into the White House by Donald Trump. Joe Biden didn't put those lawyers in the White House. He didn't hire them for Donald Trump. There's that. But then I think the overall thing for me is you're looking like fools out here now. I mean, this prosecution of Donald Trump, this weaponization of government began under his administration. It was, Barr and others who were looking into all these allegations and charges that were starting to pop up. The Mueller report, that was his administration, and so it just, I just find it laughable that we're actually kind of talking about this when it comes to Republicans like it's serious, because it isn't. Okay. They're not serious. So how can the rest of us take it seriously?
Okay, then I want to stay on this looking like fools thread and keep pulling on it, Max, because I keep hearing Republicans say that Democrats and Joe Biden can only beat Trump by arresting him. But for fact's sake, Donald Trump lost fair and square back in 2020 when he was not under indictment. So why on earth do they keep repeating this?
So this is absurd. And it actually, the absurdity is revealed if we separate ourselves from the 2024 election and just imagine the following scenario. It's 1999, and you see a Republican primary, George Bush versus John McCain. George Bush proceeds to get indicted on multiple counts at both the local level and the federal level, and John McCain comes to his aid? Of course not. You would never see anything like that. What is crazy here is not the sheer immorality of all of this. Of course, the Republican Party has long passed that threshold, but it is just the political stupidity of all of this. Do they actually think that they are going to win the nomination by coming to Donald Trump's aid? I don't understand anyone. Where is the Republican primary voter who says, I was with Trump, but then you just defended him so ardently that I had to come be with you? It's the stupidest thing I've ever heard.
Oh, that's dumb.
Okay, do you see any scenario, John Allen, where Republicans actually say, enough is enough.
The congressman's point is so poignant right now, Stephanie, because you've got all these candidates and all of these members of Congress who have put themselves in a box with regard to all of this. They said the first indictment was political, the second indictment was political, the third indictment was political. We saw 2 Ivy League trained lawyers in Vivek Ramaswamy and Ron DeSantis say today that this is not criminal. They haven't seen any of the evidence. These Ivy League trained lawyers. The one who took a different path was Chris Christie, the former prosecutor and former governor of New Jersey, who said he hasn't seen the case. He's not going to comment on it yet, except to say he doesn't think Donald Trump believes in the Constitution and the country. But what you've got from the political class is they're trapped. They can't just turn around after 1, 2, 3 indictments and suddenly say, well, the third or the fourth is the one that really put me over the top here. The question is going to be the voters. And I don't think anybody knows if there's ever a straw that breaks the camel's back on this. I think we're just going to have to wait to see.
All right, Michael, I am passing you the hypocrisy today baton, and I want you to explain this. Donald Trump and his allies keep calling this political persecution, but I want to remind our audience of this chant from pretty much every single Trump rally over the last 6 years. Watch this. Lock her up. If you couldn't hear that, that's what they were saying. And it's what they said again tonight on Fox News. Why on earth? How can Republicans argue that that is A-OK, but what's happening now is not?
Well, because they're not making the argument to you or me or anyone watching this right now. They're making the argument to a very narrow group of individuals who would actually buy into it and start chanting "Lock her up." They don't recognize hypocrisy. They don't recognize, the vagrancies of law and order that require certain types of behavior and in that process. What they are keyed in on is the animation that's given to them by the man. And I think the congressman's point is exactly the point. For the candidates that are running, they are so hell-bent on defending Donald Trump to the hilt that they think somehow those self-same voters, if you're Mike Pence, who wanted to somehow string up with a noose, are going to go, you know what, Mike, all is forgiven. We're just going to ride or die with you. Well, no, they're not. The dying part they were interested in doing on January 6th. But the riding part, no, they're not interested in that. And I think that that's the part here that everyone seems to forget. This is a self-contained ecosystem. The rest of us just watch it. And now what we find ourselves as we get ready for the next election is to defend against it. And we are already, I might tell you, about 6 months behind.
Well, then we're going to have to keep telling the truth every day, every night, as loud as possible.